Hello and welcome to the Today's Homeowner Weekly Podcast. We're here to help you with the challenges we all face as homeowners. I'm Danny Lifford.
And I'm Joe Truini. And each week, Danny and I are here on the podcast to answer any and all home improvement questions.
And we want to hear from you. Send us your questions or comments at todayshomeowner.com/podcast.
Okay, Danny, let's get started.
Today's Homeowner Podcast is brought to you by the Home Depot, how doers get more done. This week, Joe and I go over a number of garage floor options. Boy, there's so much out there with rubber floors, epoxy, staining. We'll give you a few ideas and some of our opinions on what's the best way to go. Also, choosing the right heat pump. It's a substantial expense when you're having to replace this important part of your home, but we'll tell you some of the ways that you can save a little money and prepare for that time when you have to replace that heat pump. Also, choosing the right window. There again, there's a lot to choose out there, and we'll tell you what we feel will be best. In this particular case, it's a condo unit and condo association that's replacing lots and lots of windows, so that decision is very important. We get a lot of questions about painting aluminum siding. Is it practical, or should you just replace all of the siding? We can guarantee you it's very practical and feasible to paint aluminum siding if you do it the right way. Also, sun porches are just beautiful little places to relax unless it's leaking. The roofs like that are very prone to leak because they kind of have a lazy pitch to them, but even those can be prevented from leaking. Also, Joe has a simple solution for us.
If you've got a window roller shade that keeps popping loose every time you raise or lower it, you may think you have to replace the shade, but you don't. I'll share a simple solution how to repair that shade using just pennies.
We have a lot to share with you on this podcast, so let's get started. Right now, we're going to head to Ohio, where we have a lot of listeners up there, and Mark's on the phone with us. Mark, welcome to the show, and tell us what's going on around your house there.
We got about a 25-year-old house with a slightly pitted garage floor, and we are exploring the epoxy or like a polyaspartic coating of some sort.
Okay, all right. There's a lot of options out there, aren't there?
Yes, there definitely are.
Well, I'll tell you, we've used just about all of them. I'll tell you, one we used a couple years ago was one of the interlocking rubber floors that was about a 1/4 inch thick and, no gluing necessary and had little trim strips. And within just a couple hours, we did an entire double garage. And that's pretty cool. You know, it's the homeowners used part of it as a little weight room, and then they, of course, drove their cars on it and bicycles and so forth. Typical garage. That worked pretty well. Little surprised at the cost. It was a little expensive. And then you have some of the kits that you find that have the little flakes in them, and it's an epoxy system that you can use. But I'll tell you what I did in my garage, and now they're one of our sponsors, but I still would have done it whether they're one of our sponsors or not. But Deitch Coatings, I would go to their website and look at some of the videos and look at the different. There's a new thing called terrazzo that they are touting right now, and that's spelled D-A-I-C-H, DeitchCoatings.com. And I'll tell you, I'm very, very impressed with the one. I kind of went with a faux finish on my garage, and then I put a coating on top of it that they say is durable enough for forklifts to drive on it.
So now Danny wants to get a forklift.
Yeah, now I need a forklift to move around in there.
Yeah, I mean, and that's... Sounds like an interesting option.
Yes, I would look around, and they have several other types that are available there with stone coatings. Every time we've used it, matter of fact, we used it as recently as yesterday on a countertop that was phenomenal, start to finish on that. So I think that would be one of the best options. It's reasonable, it's easy to apply, great instructions, everything you need on there, and just follow those instructions and the drying times that they require. You don't want to drive on it too quickly because those hot tires definitely can mess up any kind of coating, but I believe it'd be a great project. Takes about a day and a half to do it, and but it's going to be there for a long, long time.
I appreciate the insight. Sounds like a great option.
In here, there are seasonal savings throughout the Home Depot, so you can get back out there for more doing. In here, it's a Weber Spirit Grill. Out there, it's the dinner bell for your next neighborhood cookout. In here, it's a gallon of exclusive Behr Scuff Defense paint and a Lillard White vanity. Out there, it's a rejuvenated guest bath ready for guests. Get back for more doing with store-wide savings for house-wide doing. Only At the Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Hey, I want to share with you something here about what you need to know about basement egress. And it's very, very important because, if your home has an unfinished basement, you might be thinking about converting it into usable living space, maybe a home office, a game room, or maybe you need that extra bedroom or two. And that's a great way to add square footage and increase your home's value, but only if you do it the right way. And that means following the requirements of the building code. Now, for basements, the most important issue is emergency exits or egress from living space. Now, the International Building Code defines living space as any area used for living, sleeping, eating, or cooking. Now, that includes, of course, offices, game rooms, bedrooms, and home theaters. These openings are important because they will allow you to escape safely while allowing a firefighter with full gear to get in if there's an emergency. The code requires these spaces to have two forms of egress. The stairway to the main level of the home satisfies one of these requirements, but a second form of egress, such as a window well or basement door, needs to be added to the basement to meet those code requirements. Basement doors are a great way to meet the egress requirements because they allow you to move larger items in and out of the basement without trekking through the house. Now, you'll appreciate that if you have to ever replace a furnace or move furniture down there. Window wells also will help the look and comfort of basement living areas while providing egress as well. Now, adding daylight and ventilation makes basement rooms feel larger, warmer, and a lot more inviting. Now, some window wells are even available with built-in terraces that act as steps and can actually be used for landscaping. Be able to plant your favorite plants or flowers to give the basement a bit of a view. Now, these tips are brought to you by our friends at Bilco, the leader in basement access products. And to learn more about how to get the most out of your basement, visit Bilco.com. It's very interesting. Those window wells, we installed one time and came back later on to take some more photography and so forth. Right. I had it all planted out, and the plants were kind of cascading down like a waterfall. It looked really, really nice. Up your way, you have a lot of basements up there, Joe.
We do. In fact, Bilco is out of Connecticut, so we see a lot of Bilco doors. Yeah, they've been made in Connecticut for many, many decades.
Pick up the phone and call at 800-946-4420 and leave us any question that you like, just like Joseph did in Tennessee.
My question is, what is the most dependable heat pump today? I have a mobile home which came with a great heat pump, been working great for 11 years. I keep it serviced and keep the upkeep. I've never had a problem with it. But which is the best heat pump today, the most dependable and most efficient brand of heat pump?
That's a good question.
All right, Joseph, that's kind of hard to pin it exactly down, but let us give you, and this is very much an opinion, that we've worked with a lot of different companies, and I personally have had installed many, many different brands. But, it's also, they're all not equal, in that some are at the low end of the price range. Naturally, those are not going to be as dependable and as efficient and last as long. And then you have the high-end ones that certainly you can expect them to, do better, longer, and perform better and so forth. I think the top of that heap, Joe, would probably be Trane and American Standard. Those are two that are pretty much at the top of the heap. Now, ironically, a lot of people don't realize they basically are the same company. I can't remember which one bought the other one, but they basically are manufactured very, very similar to one another.
Yeah, the other company that always ranks really highly, most people have never heard of them, it's called Goodman. It's a commercial unit. Consumer Reports last year, I think it was, listed the most reliable units, and Goodman, I think Goodman, Carrier, and Rudd, R-U-U-D, were the top three according to their cost. But Joseph was saying that the one he has is 11 years old, which isn't old, it's probably halfway through its life, especially if he's servicing it. But the other thing I remember reading recently is that the median cost to repair a heat pump in the United States, on average, every time you call a person to repair it, is about $250. But to replace it, the average cost is $6,600. So
I got you. Yeah.
When you weigh that, it's like, well, I can have this repaired a lot. They're pretty simple units too. I mean, if it completely burns out, then you have to replace it, obviously. But if you keep up with the maintenance schedule, even if it costs you and this is assuming that you don't have a service plan. If you have a service plan, it might not cost you anything. It might cost you just for the parts. So, when you're weighing $250 against $6,600 for replace it, as long as it's efficient, and this is a mobile home, so it's probably relatively small. So I think as long as it's running, my theory is if a piece of equipment's working, I'm not replacing it.
Yeah. Well, me either. You whatever you replace it with will be more energy efficient, but it's not going to be so much of a cost savings that it's worth repairing or
Right.
replacing it right now. However, Joseph, I think you're doing a great thing in getting your ducks in a row in the event that something goes out. You might as well go ahead and decide on what you're going to replace it with so that when that time comes that you have to act quickly, you'll know just what you need to do. One of the things that surprises people about doing a home renovation is how many different pieces, parts, and people it takes to get a job done. It can get overwhelming pretty quickly, especially with something like a bathroom where there are a variety of surfaces, fixtures, and trades involved. Simplifying the process makes it less stressful, more successful, and quicker. One way to do that is by using the folks at Bathfitter. They act as your single source for bathroom projects from design to completion. Before any work is done, there are tons of selections to make, and Bathfitter can help with that because their website includes an interactive design tool that allows you to see how all of your selections will look when it's assembled together. So you can try out hundreds of combinations and know exactly what your new tub liner will look like with the shower surround you've chosen. Then you can select the perfect plumbing fixtures and accessories to coordinate with them. And all of these products and materials come from one single source, so you don't waste time running all over town to collect them and arrange for installation. Now, speaking of installation, that's another advantage of Bathfitter. They also provide all of the experienced, skilled pros necessary to handle your bath renovation from start to finish. In fact, their process is so efficient that they can often complete your project in a single day. So if you're thinking about updating a bathroom and you're looking to simplify the process, check out Bathfitter. You can find out more at bathfitter.com. Hey, coming up, we're going to be talking about a lot of emails. We want to grab one right now from David in Massachusetts. It says, hey, what's the best sealer to use for outdoor railings, tables, and decks? Well, Joe and I agree on this, as we do many things, and that is to use a semi-transparent stain. And the semi-transparent stain will soak down into the pores of the wood. This is assuming that it has not had a previous coating or painting or stain on it. If it does, that'll have to be removed. You do want a good clean surface. You want it to be good and dry. You want a good quality semi-transparent stain that's available in many, many different colors and shades. And then you can have a nice consistent look. It'll soak down into the wood and should last for several years. If the wood is really in need of this finish, then you might have to put another coat on after about a year. But after that, it should hang in there, look a lot better, and last a lot longer. Any wood, anywhere, Joe, is going to need a little help every now and then.
It does. And the thing you don't want to do is apply any kind of top coat hard, like a polyurethane or something like that, because it seems like if you put a polyurethane or varnish on it, it'll last a long time, but it won't, because that wood's going to expand and contract and crack that finish, and then what? Then you have to sand it all off.
That's right, exactly right. The semi-transparent stain is the way to go. Time for our Best New Product segment, brought to you by the Home Depot, How Doers Get More Done. Now, I'm going to tell you about a special exhaust vent fan, and this is one that I actually had the opportunity to look at way before it was even completed on the research and development. Now it's on the market, and you really need to pay attention to this one. This is very, very different. Now, most of us know that good ventilation is an important part of keeping our homes healthy, especially in bathrooms where there's just so much moisture. Now, a good exhaust fan will remove that moisture, reducing the possibilities for all of that mold and mildew. Well, the folks at Braun Newton have been making these fans for over 8 decades, but now they've upped the ante a bit with their new Surface Shield exhaust fan. Now, in addition to a 110 CFM fan and a powerful LED light, this unit also includes the Surface Shield continuous antimicrobial light, which prevents mold and bacteria from growing in the room. When the room's not in use, you switch on the Surface Shield mode, and you have uninterrupted cleaning plus a beautiful violet hue. Plus, the unit features easy installation without the need for any attic access, and it's a whisper quiet fan motor. Very, very quiet. Now, you really need to check this out. It's the Surface Shield exhaust fan that, again, when you're using it, it is eliminating the bacteria in your bathroom. But when you're not using it, you change it to another mode, and it continues that cleaning process. So a very modern way of really making sure not only do you get the hot, moist air out of your bathroom, but also the antimicrobial violet light also helps you a good bit. I'm sure you're curious about this, so check it out at HomeDepot.com. Right now, we're going to go back to the Today's Homeowner Hotline and visit with Kay in Washington. Kay, tell us what's happening around your house.
Yes, I live in a large condominium townhouse development, and we have a project for 32 units, 16 buildings, getting estimates for aluminum frames for windows versus stainless steel frames, composite, vinyl. And we've gotten prices everywhere from $21,000, which is approximately $1,000 a window, to $80,000 per condominium.
Wow.
So what we're looking at is quality, and I'm concerned about vinyl because of cracking and, just warping and twisting and breaking off. And that's kind of what they've decided on, which is the low range from all of the frames. There's a Milgard style line series, low E vinyl, argon, and versus the aluminum steel possible composite resin. And I would appreciate very much your input on what would be good and any companies that you think would be great and reasonable.
Okay, certainly. Well, when you're talking about a big project like this, you definitely want to make the right decision for that because you want it to last a long, long time. And I'll tell you, I was not a very big fan of vinyl windows many years ago because there were so many small regional companies that would buy these machines and they would make these windows, and they just were not the quality that they should have been. They didn't have the testing behind it. But I'll tell you, I've changed my tune a lot over the years, and just recently we installed quite a few windows in my daughter's home and my daughter Chelsea Wolf's home. And what we decided to go with what she decided to go with is Geldwin. And Geldwin has been a company, been around a long, long time. And I'm telling you, these windows are exceptional quality. And the thing about it, your replacement windows, you have an existing opening there, and so to be able to create the exact window size and makes the installation so much easier and makes it really look like original installation without having all of this extra molding around it like they do with some. But I would say check in with Geldwin, and the Milgard is an average window. I don't know really a whole lot about that, but I think you're on the right track in going with that. I would stay away from any aluminum window. I'm surprised they're still out there because of the heat transfer you have with that, the condensation problems that they've had for years. Joe, what about what is your thoughts on that? I think you probably agree with me. Vinyl windows are a lot better now than they were a few years back.
Yeah, Kay, not only are they a lot better, but they probably have a broader range than any other type of window. You can get really cheap vinyl windows, and you can get some really very well-made vinyl windows. And I suspect whoever's making this final decision for you and your condo are trying to find one in the middle. And unfortunately, this is not just your choice, right? Because you can't install whatever windows you want, and the neighbor is going to install whatever windows they want. So all these windows are going to have to be exactly the same. And going back to what Danny referenced, the size of the window, if you can get a stock window size that happens to fit that opening, you're going to save a tremendous amount of money over a custom-made window. Depending how old this building is, these condos are, and the size of the window, the cost might be high. Like, let's say, the aluminum window they looked at might be high because maybe they don't have a stock size, so they're making custom windows. Where vinyl windows come in a lot of stock sizes, as do wood-clad windows. And those are wooden windows that are clad with either vinyl or aluminum on the outside, so they're low maintenance outside, and on the inside, you have the look of real wood. But to answer your question, I wouldn't automatically say no to vinyl windows because they have problems. Because like anything else, if you buy a cheap vinyl window or you buy a cheap car or a cheap refrigerator, you're going to have problems with it, right? So as long as it's at least a mid-range vinyl window, I think you'll probably be okay.
Thank you so much for your excellent input.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Our pleasure, and best of luck on the project. That's a big one, and be a little bit of dust that you have to deal with along the way, but once it's all done, that's one that'll last a long, long time. Case, thanks so much for being with us, and hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you. You also.
Right now we're going to Illinois. Patrick's on the line with a little leaky problem. Patrick, tell us what's happening at your house.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call today.
Sure.
So I've got a split-level home that was built in 1964, and on the backside upper level, I have a prefab sunroom. It's about a 12 by 12, three-season room. It was probably added on in the 70s. It's got 4 panels that make up the roof, and it's leaking at the joints. So far, I've cleaned out the gutter. I took off the leaf guards and didn't put them back on, so that the water could shed off as quickly as possible and not loiter on the roof. It's a pretty flat roof. It might have an inch of pitch over the 12-foot. And then I used an aerosol elastomeric on the joints on top and made sure that I spread it out like 3 inches on either side of the joint. Neither one of those things have worked. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I got to tell you, yesterday was my wedding anniversary, and all my wife wants is for that sunroom to stop leaking, because that is her place to go and relax and read. And I'd really like to make that happen for her. So that's why I'm calling in the cavalry.
Boy, that's putting a lot.
You can just buy her an umbrella for an anniversary gift. That's what Danny and I would have done.
Wow, a lot of pressure here.
Yeah, she would expect that from me, but I'll try to go that extra mile for her.
Okay, good for you.
So, Patrick, you were able to get physically on top of that, so it's supportive enough that it'll support your weight up there.
Yes, I don't know much about the construction of the room, but it seems to me that the roof panels are probably some type of foam sandwiched between a plastic paneling on the inside and an aluminum sheeting on the top. But it does support my weight, and I haven't missed a meal in a long time. So,
well, that's good. Now, the way it attaches to your home, does it attach to the fascia board, or how exactly does it? And does your water from your roof, from the house, empty out onto this roof?
Yes. Well, there is a gutter, so the sun porch tucks up underneath the soffit on the back side of the house.
That's good.
And so, and then there's about an 18-inch flashing that comes from underneath the soffit out onto the roof. So it's got good flashing. Now, this is coming off the upper level of the house, so it's on stilts or legs.
I got you. Okay. All right. Because many times when you have a roof, a patio cover that's been built on after the original home, most of the time the problem is at the flashing area, because you have so much water coming off your roof, it's rushing down, and just the smallest little crack or nail hole or separation will create that situation where it's leaking. So that, if you're trying to correct the roof leak out on the roof itself, directly above where the leak is occurring, many times will not be of any help at all, because it may be leaking several feet away and then just showing up right in these areas like your picture show. We appreciate you sending those pictures. Yeah. Joe, what do you think on this? Because so many times, Patrick, when someone has tried, especially fixing your own roof, you try just about everything and then you call a roofer out and the roofer goes, oh, well, there it is right there. It's kind of funny how that kind of thing works. But, Joe, what other suggestions would you have for Patrick?
Yeah, Patrick, I'm not sure I understand exactly what is on the roof. Like, it's not shingle, so is it just like a rubber membrane? Or what is it that's actually on the roof covering these four panels?
It is just those panels. They're
just butted together with some kind of sealant that's supposed to keep them from leaking, and that's it? You can actually see the seams from the roof, on top of the roof. You can see the seams between these panels that form the roof.
You can see the seam, and to me, it looks like an extruded aluminum or plastic type material that these panels go into. Yeah. And there are some other type of fasteners. I hesitate to say like a screw or a nail, but there's some type of fastener that's round, and those the heads of those fasteners have what I would call like a butyl type material. Right. Yeah. Okay. Kind of globbed on top of it.
Yeah. So is the surface relatively flat though? The whole surface is relatively flat. Or do you have like ridges? Yes. Yeah. Okay. What I would recommend, tell you the truth, I've never recommended giving roll roofing as an anniversary gift, but I might consider just roofing the whole thing. Put down, either put down a mop down some kind of underlayment, like a liquid underlayment, brush it, roll it on to seal it, kind of like what we would like bread guard or something like that, something you'd use on a tile wall, just to seal it, just for extra protection. And then just put down, like some felt, some builder's felt, and then roll roofing would be the cheapest and easiest way. I think it's 3 or 4 feet wide. I think it's 4 feet wide, and you overlap them obviously, and I would overlap them at least 6 or 8 inches, starting at the lower end and going up, so you're overlapping as you go up. And this is a relatively flat roof, but I would try that first because it would be a pretty inexpensive fix. And if you put it down with just some kind of adhesive, not nails, obviously. Right. And the fact that it's flashed up at the top, because Danny and I think, both had the same thought that maybe where it met the house is always a Achilles heel where water kind of gets in. But since that's not an issue, I'm assuming that flashing is working. I would just re-roof this or put a roof on it for the first time.
Mm-hmm. So if I used the rolled roofing, once I got to the back where it's underneath the eaves, would it then be prudent to put another flashing over the top of that?
I would put it under the flashing. Is there any reason you can't slip it under the flashing?
It's possible, yeah. I probably could.
Yeah, that would be the smartest thing. Make sure it goes up at least 4 inches, I would think, 3 or 4 inches.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I can definitely do that. I appreciate your help, guys. Like I said, it'll make the wife happy, and because quite frankly, she told me if I didn't get her roof to stop leaking, I probably wouldn't make it to another anniversary.
Wow! What anniversary was this one? What number anniversary was this one?
Well, it's been 10 years of wedded bliss. Now, keeping in mind, I've been married for 21.
There he is. I knew it was coming.
That's a pretty good average. And tell her that asphalt roofing is actually the 10th anniversary gift, so you're right on market there.
Oh, perfect. That's perfect.
As opposed to diamonds.
Yeah, I will definitely do that.
Well, Patrick, happy anniversary to you and your wife, and best of luck on this, because I agree with you. When you're out and it's raining, you should be relaxing and just kind of meditating a little bit, but you can't do that when it's dripping on your head. So best of luck to you on that, and if we can help you any other way, you let us know.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thinking about getting a new tub or shower, but not sure who to trust? One call to Bathfitter makes it easy, or just go to bathfitter.com. They'll install your new bath or shower in a day or less with their unique tub-over-tub process, so it fits into your schedule. Bathfitter offers hundreds of design options, so your bath or shower fits your style. And every high-quality tub or shower comes with a lifetime guarantee, so it fits your standards. There's a reason why over 2 million people have welcomed Bathfitter into their homes. It just fits. Here's another good way that we can provide you a little extra information is our simple solution. What do you have for us, Joe?
All right, Danny, here's how to fix a window roller shade that pops loose and crashes to the floor every time you try raising it or lowering it. Now, that will often happen, and some people just toss it out because there's no way. They keep putting it back and keep slipping out. And I had this problem, and I finally had diagnosed, and I looked at it, I'm like, what could be, the window didn't get any wider. Why is it not holding itself in place? And what happens at each end of the blind is a small metal pin that sticks out, and the pin fits into a hole in a metal mounting bracket that's screwed to the side of the window, right? But every time you raise or lower that blind, that pin, both pins, spin in the brackets. There's no bearing or anything, it's just spinning. And over time, the bracket will actually cut right through the pin, leaving it too short to hold the pin in place. So the fix is really easy. Grab that pin that's been sheared off and yank it out with a pair of pliers, then tap in a 6-penny common nail or even a fishing nail. That's a 2-inch nail, a 6-penny nail. It's just about the right size. Tap it in, leave about a 1/2 inch or so sticking out of the end of the blind, then snip off the head with some pliers, some Lyman pliers, something like that. And now what you're doing basically is just replacing the old pin with a new pin made out of a nail. Now slip it into place. If it's sticking out a little too far, it doesn't fit in, you can just tap it in a little more. And you slip it in, and it's good as new.
In here, there are seasonal savings throughout the Home Depot, so you can get back out there for more doing. In here, it's a Weber Spirit Grill. Out there, it's the dinner bell for your next neighborhood cookout. In here, it's a gallon of exclusive Behr Scuff Defense paint and a Lillard White vanity. Out there, it's a rejuvenated guest bath ready for guests. Get back for more doing with store-wide savings for house-wide doing. Only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Now it's time for our podcast question of the week. We'd love to get a question from you. All you have to do is go to todayshomeowner.com/podcast. This comes from Edward in New York. Said, my son just bought a new house with a dirt crawl space. How can we insulate this area, and can we do closed spray foam insulation ourselves? I've never heard of any homeowner actually spraying any of the foam like that, Joe. I've never heard of renting a system that you can actually do that. Doesn't seem like it'd be very feasible.
Well, you can buy a system and do it yourself, but would it be any harder place to spray foam than on your back, on the dirt, under? Yeah. First of all, I wouldn't do that in that place in particular because that foam gets in there and seals it up. It's a good insulator, but what if you have to make some kind of repair or something? The insulation to put under a crawl space is mineral wool, rock wool. Put it up with chicken wire, hold it up with chicken wire, or use those little stay wires that you can squeeze up in there. But a bigger problem, Danny, is what do they do with that dirt floor?
Right, exactly. The first thing you want to do, which will make it a lot more pleasant, installing the insulation, is to put down a layer of 6 mil plastic. 6 mil just denoting the thickness of it, but you can put it down. It can be black, it can be clear, it can be whatever you want. Overlap the seams a bit. That will prevent any moisture from migrating from the ground up into the house that can cause all kinds of problems. And we just insulated the underside of my daughter Chelsea's ranch-style home. It's probably about 2,500, 2,700 square feet. And we used the mineral wool, 6-inch thick mineral wool with the stay wires. It went very, very easily. And again, if any remodeling or any problem happens in the future, very easy to remove any of that and replace it after the repairs are done. So again, we'd love to get a question from you, and you can send it right away at todayshomeowner.com/podcast. We appreciate all the great reviews we've gotten this week. Keep those coming, and also keep downloading the Today's Homeowner podcast each and every week, and tell some of your friends about it. We appreciate each and every one that takes the time to listen to our podcast. I'm Danny Lipford along with my buddy Joe Truini. Thanks so much for listening to this Today's Homeowner podcast.